What is up, guys? It's your boy Aniki here. Sorry for the delay. As you can tell by my background, first off, this is not the official final background that I'm going to be using for my videos. I actually have a chair coming that will go with the desk that will allow me to use the cabinet as a backdrop. So today's video is on the couch, unfortunately. That being said, it's already 2 weeks late. I highly doubt anybody who's watching this video for the analysis cares about the fact that it's late necessarily, but moreover will probably care about the fact that I have better lighting, which means better channel improvements all around, you know. I'm not going to have to strain as much, and I can turn the gain up on my microphone now as it's maxed out. I'm actually using a casual speaking voice right now. And based on the test that I ran on my computer, if you have your volume for the video set around, like if your YouTube volume is standard issue and you have at least half to like 40% volume on your computer, it should work just fine. As always though, with any video, just throw on some headphones if it's really that bad, but I think that you should be able to put this one on as you're doing other things and be able to listen to it. Obviously, to me, my channel is more podcast style anyway, where you're putting this on to listen to stuff, but I'm also going to try to reformat some things in the channel going forward. Depending on how, I might actually start breaking the deconstructions apart for the longer ones. Try to keep the average video around 10 minutes. Just let me know what you guys would think about if each chapter review instead, maybe if I knew it was going to be one of those longer ones or it's a meaty chapter, if I know it's going to end up spitting out like a 20 or 30 minute deconstruction, I'm thinking about spitting two or three separate videos in parts, and in that sequence you'll be able to have the more dense material that I sometimes cover, while at the same time actually being able to just sit down and maybe watch it for like 5, 6, probably 10 minutes will be the goal, but watch it for 10 minutes, set it aside, come back to it later. That's more than likely where I'm thinking about going with the channel, just because I do 30-minute chapter deconstructions, and that's a time commitment. I realize that. So the approach could turn into, I'll do the notes and stuff over the weekend, give you the first part Sunday, and then like Tuesday, Thursday, do parts 2 and 3 for the longer ones. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's something I'm thinking about. If you guys absolutely hated that idea though, just tell me and then I just won't do it. All right. This chapter was actually kind of flew by, but it's because there's not a lot of major key moments to talk about or like hit on. The first part of the chapter is, for the most part, Endeavor flexing on the kids and us getting some of Deku's thoughts about his progression and reminding us how much time has passed within the context of the series, being a year and a half plus, and Deku's own feelings and what other people have already told him about how his mindset and approach to quirks is limited by the fact that he was not born with one. We get Endeavor stopping a truck, by the way, this chapter. That's just more scaling stuff. I'm always down for that. We get an interaction between Shoto and Bakugo, and once again, and I think to some people this wouldn't make sense, but with the fact that Bakugo currently has, of the 3 boys, the highest rated technique grade, him immediately recognizing what Endeavor is doing to travel the way that he's like essentially doing the flame stepping makes sense. He's got the most skill. He'd recognize the most proficiency, and you see he said, "You're just gonna rip off my explosion, so what? Did you just notice that?" And the thing is that Shoto's been kind of built up to be a little non-perceptive as far as like what people are doing, so him taking a bit longer to figure it out, not to mention his combat intelligence. The thing that I think is fascinating is that throughout the series it's kind of been very clear that Bakugo is at least, when it comes to combat knowledge, street smarts, that kind of thing, he is ahead of Deku and by a massive margin Shoto. But academically, the 3 of them are still in the same ballpark, with I believe Deku being the 3rd or 4th best student, whichever one he isn't, Bakugo is, and then I'm pretty sure Shoto is the 5th best student, with Ida being number 1 in the class and Momo being number 2 academically. So there you go. Endeavor, for the most part, explains that sometimes heroes need to do every aspect of the job. This checks out. We've seen All Might do it. We've seen Endeavor do it now, controlling the crowds. We get more Endeavor and Bakugo being similar with the whole petty call out. The thing that I like about this, though, is that it does highlight that once again, yes, Bakugo and Shoto and Deku are basically on par with pro heroes. They can be, up there. And Bakugo, if he were a pro rookie, would actually be considered damn good in the eyes of Endeavor, which is especially worth, being excited for if you're a fan of the series, or if you're a fan of Bakugo, Deku, or Shoto, because they're first years. And yeah, technically they're closer to second year than, a fresh freshman, but the point still stands. These are not, sidekicks that are formally trained all the way, or all the way formally trained works. That works as a way to describe it. So yeah, I've always been in the camp that they were pro hero level around the time of the sports festival, and that's kind of the whole point of UA and what makes it so prestigious. But it's just kind of driving in that, the freshmen are ahead, plus the decent quirks they have, plus of the three of them, I personally think Bakugo has trained the hardest, so that just makes sense. We get down to their homework assignments effectively, bringing out the most power versus being very precise and consolidating it. We get a classic Deku's like, oh yeah, like now that I've analyzed what he's actually saying to me, this sounds like the AP shot. And Bakugo being like, dude, you really shouldn't know the principles of my moves like that. And then the chapter leads to them all getting their homework assignments, figuring out where they have to go in life or where they need to improve on. And Fuyumi saying, let's have everybody over for dinner. Obviously, the chapter, if you read spoilers, came out today. So if you read those, you saw the results of said dinner. Again, sorry, this is later, but it is what it is. Just, you'd be amazed at how much effort it takes to move into a new place. And especially if you miscalculated and totally had to go back to work. And also helped somebody else move all in the same weekend. But yeah, as far as moves go and ideas, let me tell you this. If you can get off a good chunk of work anytime you have to move, do it. It's just better that way. You need some time to recharge, because going to work while in pain and still having to put furniture together, not the move. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about is it's one of the few things I haven't seen mentioned yet. Like the chapter, you notice in this video, I kind of breezed through it. It's because most of the analysis I've seen, whether it's on Twitter, Discord, covers a lot of things that could be said about the skill gaps and all these other things, and I kind of did it in like a breezy fashion. The main thing that I haven't seen people talk about, though, is the parallel between Endeavor and All for One. Now, it's not a direct one-to-one scaling of these speeches and interactions, but I think it's important to note that Endeavor this entire time has been paralleling both the light and the dark sides of the Hero Society. Also, I totally flopped that, but I'm leaving it in the video because I think if somebody catches it, it'll be funny. So by paralleling both light and dark within the hero communities, we also get to see him parallel and walk what is essentially a twilight path in the middle. The Twilight Path term is just something from like Kingdom Hearts, where Riku chooses to walk the path between light and dark. And in the same way, Endeavor here, his speech is more reminiscent of All for One's with less affection. If you remember, All for One tells Shigaraki, you can fail as many times as you want. It is all for you. I'll be here. And in the same way, Endeavor essentially tells these boys, you can fail as much as you need to. It won't matter. I'll be here. Except the difference here is that where All for One was saying it, theoretically, a lot of people say that they don't believe All for One actually cares about Shigaraki. I'm actually not in that camp. One of the things that Horikoshi has kind of done a really great job is highlighting that humans as individuals tend to be nuanced. And just because you're a bad person doesn't mean you can't form bonds or care about people. So from that perspective, when you look at Endeavor saying, you can mess up, I'll be here for you. As one person, it's okay for you to mess up because all of society and myself will be here to like catch you. His hero agency, all these things. So for these one persons or this one individual, this one group, all these things are available. However, All for One was dedicated purely towards elevating and helping Shigaraki, and in the process all of that was for one person. Gigantomachia, Dr. Ujiko, or Dr. Tsubasa as I call him. All these things set up for Shigaraki, whereas everything Endeavor is doing is, despite whatever you do, I will succeed. And so that kind of shows the difference in the unity and the approach to teaching, whereas Endeavor is more about like, you will succeed or you will fail and you will do it by your merits. All for One is like, you will succeed or fail by your merits, but I will help you no matter what and elevate you to a level in which you will eventually be able to succeed and take over for me. Yes, Endeavor wants Shoto to be a proper successor, but at the end of the day, that is not his primary target or goal in these interactions, or even necessarily what he's doing with Bakugo and Deku especially. So I just kind of wanted to point out that in the same way that All Might was, and actually All Might and Shigaraki are both okay teachers. They're very okay in the sense that it gets the job done, sort of, where we have Shigaraki, who's knowledgeable about other criminal families, as you can see, especially if you watch the anime where he talks about, which the intro for the Shia Hisaika was done very beautifully. So he knows about other criminals, he knows about other empires, other villains. His quirk training, like his actual speed itself wasn't that bad. He was kind of able to keep up with Aizawa during the attack on the USJ. By the way, read Vigilantes. There's your semi-weekly plug. Read Vigilantes. So yeah, that being said though, the difference between All for One and Endeavor and All Might and Endeavor, and that both Endeavor or All Might and All for One are personally attached to the people that they are training, and you have that similarity between Endeavor and Shoto, but the fact that they can give similar speeches, similar ideas and executions, and then have complete different meanings and subtext to them, I thought was worth pointing out, and I think is intentional. And as the series progresses, Horikoshi will start highlighting more and more what Best Genius said, that heroes and villains are the same, are two different sides of the same coin. Quirk-based people who are elevated to the pinnacle of villainous or like positive or negative society, and it's purely based on the fear or the adoration and the respect that people give them. So I expect all of these things to start coming into play more and more as we go along, especially since from an outside looking in perspective, Bakugo and Shoto are considerably more famous than Deku, even though Deku did fight Overhaul. So there's a little give and take, and Deku is known as the madman who breaks his fingers. So I'm kind of hoping that, even though I expect Shigaraki to interrupt it, the sports festival should finally like highlight and culminate all these things. If we have a second year sports festival, hopefully an intra-school sports festival or inter-school sports festival, so that we get the Shiketsu kids, and then like the war starts in about 4 months. So yeah, let me know what you guys think or want. Looking forward to with the channel. I'm gonna hopefully have my chair by the end of next week. It's slated to get here at about somewhere between the 7th and the 14th. I was hoping it would be the 7th so I could just have the whole setup, but hey, that wasn't life. So that being said, you guys all have a wonderful day. Sorry again for the massive delay and the new layout, but this layout is still probably more refreshing and better than any video previously when I was living with my friends. So you guys all have a wonderful day. Hopefully I can keep making content that you enjoy. Like, subscribe, share. Have a wonderful day. Hey, Deku shirt. Anaki out.